Hi, I'm Sam Hazledine, author of Unfair Fight. I've recently just finished the first year of my course Board of Directors. And this course is essentially where I get 8 business owners in a room for 2 days, every 3 months, and we focus on their businesses. Now, the beauty of this course is, like business, business isn't a result, it's not a destination, it's a journey. And the course is a journey too. And what it has allowed me to see more than anything else are patterns of human behavior, patterns of results. I think success leaves clues, and so does failure. And what it's allowed me to see are patterns of success and to identify patterns of failure. And what I want to do to share with you in 3 videos, this being the first one of 3, are 3 of the biggest lessons that I've learned over the past year. Those lessons that I've had cemented because I've seen that these can determine success or failure. And even for people who are being successful, they can determine the level of success that they achieve. They also contribute massively to whether they feel fulfilled in that success. But essentially, it's, what's been really interesting is if you ignore these 3 factors, I know for sure that you can't be successful as you could be, because you won't be fully moving in a direction that you want to move in, and it won't be aligned with what the market needs. So look, what I'm going to do in these 3 videos is share these lessons with you, because obviously you probably haven't been on the board of directors unless you're one of the 8 people who just finished this course. But most of you watching this, you probably watching at home, have been in this course. And you can learn from these lessons. You can take these lessons on board. And I know that if you take them on board and apply them in your life and in your business, then you'll be significantly more successful than you are now. And that's a promise. So, the first lesson is around strategy. Setting strategy is different from goal setting. I'll say that again. Setting strategy is not the same as setting goals. Most business owners, in my experience, set strategy as if they're setting goals. They get their BHAG, their big, hairy, audacious goal, and they put it up there and they go after it. And that's all well and good, but that's not building a strategy. That's saying what you want and going after what you want. But the reality is, the market doesn't care what you want. The market couldn't care less if you want a new batch and a new BMW. It just doesn't matter to the market. So, setting strategy is not the same as setting goals. Setting strategy is not putting your BHAG up. It's not just sort of dreaming something up out of the air. Setting strategy it can be done quite strategically. It can be done quite clinically, and I believe that when it is done that way, it's much, much more effective. Now, when it comes to setting strategy, there are 3 things that you absolutely need to have. The first thing is that it needs to solve a problem. That's it. It's got to solve a problem. The market has a problem, your customer has a problem, your client has a problem, and you need to identify that problem. So if a strategy needs to solve a problem, you've got to identify it first. Step 1 is identifying the problem that you're going to solve. Now, the way you define the problem will determine how you can solve it. For example, I was working with a chain of bookstores, and they came to me saying, look, we need a strategy because we're getting out-competed by Amazon. We can't compete with Amazon. And I said, okay. So we got in a room and we started just throwing ideas up on the whiteboard. I was defining what's the problem. People, what's the problem? Oh, we're not making enough money. That isn't the problem. What's the problem? Oh, our sales are going down. Again, that's not the problem. That's a symptom of the problem. What's the problem? What's the problem? And someone said the problem is that people are moving buying behavior online. Okay, that would be one way to solve. That would be one way to define the problem. The problem with that for a chain of bookstores is that you can't solve it. So how you define the problem will determine how you can solve it or not. We kept moving through it, kept digging, and eventually we defined the problem as buyers are choosing convenience over experience. Great. We've identified a problem and defined it in a way that it can now be solved. They can actually address that problem. They can't address the problem that buyers are moving their buying behavior online. So the first step in building a strategy is identify the problem. I call that the worthy challenge. The second step is to clearly articulate how you're going to solve that problem. Now, this may seem really basic and really obvious, but I think good thinking often does seem basic and obvious when you actually hear it out loud. Define the problem and then define the big picture, how you're going to solve it. Now, generally speaking, most strategies don't do that. They don't even define a problem. They just sort of set some goals and they go after it. But even if you've got a problem that you want to solve, a lot of strategies will then dive into all the things you need to do and they make it complicated. If you can't articulate how you're going to solve the problem in one sentence, then you probably haven't got clear on it yourself. And this is something I've seen as well. You know, people whose strategies are way too complicated and they can't even explain them probably don't understand themselves. I'll come back to the example of the bookstore. So the problem is that buyers are choosing convenience over experience. Because we've defined the problem in a way that we can solve it, the solution, the governing approach as I call it, then became create an experience that is so breathtaking that consumers choose it over the convenience of shopping online. They defined the problem in a way they could solve it, and then they created a single sentence, a single governing approach to how they were going to solve that problem. And then the third part of creating a great strategy is to break that governing approach into actionable steps that you can take action on and achieve. It's as simple as that. Compare that to most business owners who are saying, right, what's my BHAG? What's the goal? What am I going after here? And then they create this strategy which isn't really relevant to the marketplace, compared to saying, I'm going to define the problem the market needs solving. I'm then going to build an approach to that. I'm going to break that into action steps that I can execute to bring my strategy to life, to grow my company, to become more profitable, to have an even bigger positive impact. Look, the difference in results is the difference between night and day. And you know, this is one of the lessons I've learned from seeing these business owners and working with them over a period of a year, seeing them every 3 months and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. But you see the people who, you know, maybe at the start resisted this approach, who wanted to just stick with their goals, and you see the difference in results that they get compared to the people who go, all right, let's solve a problem. Let's solve a problem that needs solving, and let's do it in a way that we can understand and then execute on. The difference in results, as I said, is night and day. And success leaves clues. Successful businesses, successful business owners build strategy in this way, whether they do it consciously or not. This is the pattern. They identify a problem, they figure out how they're going to solve it, then they break that into action steps to do that. You can do that too. Stop setting strategy by setting goals. It's a different thing. Setting goals is fine too. Setting your BHAG is fine. I've got no problem with that. It's just that isn't your business strategy. If that's all your business strategy is, then that's just like, you know, wishing and hoping for something. If you define your strategy by, I'm going to solve a problem that needs solving and going to do it in a way that I can understand, then you're going to be one of the few business owners, and it really is the few, who have a strategy that's worth anything more than the piece of paper that it's printed on. I'll say that again. You'll really, you'll differentiate yourself. A good strategy in itself is a strategic advantage. Most business people do not have one. They confuse goal setting and strategy session, and therefore they're operating based on what they want and not what the market needs. So that's the first lesson that I wanted to share from going through this course, Board of Directors, seeing patterns of human behavior, seeing patterns of success and seeing patterns of failure. But it comes with a caveat, because it's not just about what the market wants. It's not just about the problem that the market needs solving. You can build this strategy, and if you miss this next thing, trust me, your strategy won't work. We work with some business owners and board of directors, and we built brilliant strategies. Brilliant strategies. We built brilliant strategies based on, potentially, me running the business, someone else running the business, but not that person running the business. That'll give you a clue as to what this next thing is. Because we missed one small piece, we got back 3 months later and that strategy had got nowhere. But because we learned, because we see patterns of behavior, we were able to adjust it, address this next thing that I'm going to share in the next video, and the strategy has come to life. The business has come to life. So I hope that's got you interested. Remember, setting strategy in your business is not goal setting. Setting strategy is about defining a problem, defining how you're going to solve that problem, and then breaking that into action steps and going about doing it. It's not rocket science. It'll seem obvious in retrospect, but the reality is, in my experience, 99% of businesses aren't setting strategy this way. A good strategy is a strategic advantage. Use this video, use it if you've learned this video, and please watch the next video, because if you don't get the lesson from the next video, the strategy is almost worthless. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Thanks for investing your time. Thanks for investing your time in yourself, growing yourself, and in growing your business. I'll see you in the next video.